And here we go. What is up, everybody? This is the rundown, and here we are, Justin. The NFL draft has come and gone, and so has just about all of the first round of the NBA playoffs. Before we get into all that, though, how you doing, man?
Doing good. We got some fun topics. NBA playoffs have been great so far, so been doing good. Can't wait to dive into this today.
Me either. You'll notice my light just came on. I realized that wasn't on, and I was kind of dark, so got that fixed. Let's just get right into the rundown recap because in our podcast doc, our first topic is the Phoenix Suns were swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I just have this gif of this guy laughing in there because it's just so funny. My favorite thing ever is that back in October, Devin Booker said, I don't know how teams are going to guard us. And then Kevin Durant said, you can't guard all of us at once. And then Bradley Beal, right before game 4, said, I'll be damned if I get swept. I've never been swept. Bro was damned. Oh boy. Yeah, where are you going? Oh, getting the broom. Let's go.
We got the brooms.
Oh man, that's awesome. So, before I
Hair's flying around now.
right, you got all that dust and everything now. Before I get into my topic, I think I've got a perfect image that I saw that really encapsulates what I think we're going to see from Kevin Durant this summer. So I don't know, see if I can find that really quick, and there we go. So yeah, that Kevin Durant, my next chapter, but it's got the Timberwolves logo on it. Oh gosh, Justin, where do we even start with this, dude? Like, this was one of the all-time failures of a super team, I think. You know, I'd like to say that like this was an unbelievable collapse, but I kind of saw this coming. I mean, they don't have a point guard. There's only one ball. So all you got to do is just lock down KD or Devin Booker. Because honestly, at this point in his career, if Bradley Beal beats you, okay. Like
Yeah, you just tip your cap at that point.
at that point, yeah. And I hate that because I used to love watching Bradley Beal play, but it is very clear he is not what he used to be. So I don't know. What were your thoughts on this series as a whole? Because good lord.
This is just an absolute embarrassment from the Suns. I mean, let's call it what it is. It is an absolute one of the biggest failures to ever happen in the NBA. You have three of the best scorers in the NBA. You know, Bradley Beal's maybe a little bit out of his prime when it comes to that, but he's still a great player. You have three of the best scorers in the NBA, and you can't win a game. You can't win a game. I mean, come on. And going back to your point, like they don't have a point guard. Like, man, if only there was someone in the NBA that was on their team that they had that was a good point guard. Hmm.
Man, I famously remember him hitting an insane 3-point shot to cut the lead to 42.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Chris Paul. You had arguably one of the greatest point guards of all time on your team. And now you sit there and you force Devin Booker to have to average 7 or 8 assists a game, which is not his game. Not saying he's awful at it, but that's not his game.
No.
And you use Bradley Beal to be able to play off the ball, which he doesn't do very well. And you ask Kevin Durant to go be Superman on both sides of the court because ain't nobody playing a damn lick of defense on that team.
Nope.
This is just so embarrassing for the Suns. And what's even better, you want to know how many draft picks they have from this coming draft?
Wait. I got you. You ready for this? So
Yeah.
technically I know the answer is 1, but I gotta go with the Holes quote here. 0.
They have 2024, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. That is 7 years. Each team gets 1 first round and 1 second round pick, meaning they have a potential to have 14 draft picks over the next 7 years, correct?
Oh yeah,
They have 1.
1. I think it's a second.
They
round,
have
isn't it?
it's a 2024 first round.
First.
That's
round.
it.
Okay, man, they better
They have a
pick. They
20
better pick.
this year's.
They better pick the next LeBron James, or they're gonna have a real rough time the next few years.
So clearly they got swept in the first round, meaning it is very evident they are more than just like a piece away. You know, they were right there. You know, and it's not even like these games were competitive. It's not like the Lakers
No.
Nuggets games where
No.
each game was like decided by 2, 3, 4, 5 points. They were getting smacked. So it's not like they can go trade for somebody because what draft capital do they have? Who's going
Speaking
to
of-
want Grayson Allen or
Speaking
Yusuf
of trades,
Nurkic?
they signed Bradley Beal to like 100 million or 100. It's like 160, right? It's something stupid. $160 million
they're basically a
contract,
free supermax.
and they gave him a no trade clause. I went through puberty saying that because it's so outrageous. Like, you can't even trade Bradley Beal, who at this point looks like freaking me out there. Because, you know, if I was on the NBA court, I would not be very good. Anyway, you've got Devin Booker, who, I mean, I like Devin Booker, don't get me wrong, but he's not a point guard. He's a 2 guard. And then you've got Kevin Durant, who, I mean, I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but my whole wouldn't be a top 25 player without Steph argument looks better by the season. I'm just saying.
So for me, it's like they weren't even close. They have 1 draft pick and 0 draft capital over the next 7 years. Bro, I don't know how to tell you this. If anybody listening to this is a fan of the Phoenix Suns, y'all are cooked. Y'all are cooked. It's over. It's wraps. You might as well just move the franchise to freaking Utah like the Arizona Coyotes did. You can give them 2 NBA teams. Like the Suns are cooked.
And honestly,
And that's all I have to say on that.
They're cooked and they burnt the water. You know, I mean, I think they're going to run this back with the same team next year and maybe try to sign a veteran point guard. You know, maybe they can get like a Mike Conley or somebody to come play point. But you can't. So here's the thing. You can't trade Bradley Beal. You can't trade Devin Booker. Do you consider moving Kevin Durant
I think it's got to
to
be on the
get
table.
to get some draft
you
capital?
know? Yeah, and you know, if that means Devin Booker has to be your cornerstone guy for the next 10 years plus. He has to be. And Bradley Beal, what is he, 33, 34, 35, somewhere around there?
He looks like he's
I mean,
63.
he's getting up there. So I mean, you got to imagine he's still probably got 2, 3, 4 years left in him of at least semi-decent basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Kevin Durant's 36. I think you almost have to consider trading him. I think you have to, because at this point, where else are you getting top-end level talent in the NBA outside of potentially free agency? Well, like, and that's not even a guarantee because teams can offer more money to those guys that you don't have right now.
So let me propose something to you then that is, you know, it's weird, and I know it's probably not going to happen because Kevin Durant would hate this, but I'm thinking of a team that is in win now mode, that has a superstar on the tail end of his prime and some pieces around him that could be moved and could eventually be good but aren't on his timeline. Now, I could give you a crazy jersey edit for this because I mean, this move actually would make a lot of sense because Kevin Durant, obviously we know he can play alongside Steph. You know, he and Draymond have patched things up. They're really good friends. I think you could trade KD for a few, like maybe, 2 firsts and a second, but like in the future.
And maybe another player.
And Golden State would send, like Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Podziemski or, one of their younger stars. And maybe they have to part ways with Clay, or, maybe there is a world where Draymond or, so they could send somebody, maybe but I think that's a move that makes sense for both teams, honestly, because Phoenix gets their draft capital and they can get a proven veteran to come in there at that team that maybe doesn't need the ball all the time. You got to do something, because if you run it back with this team next year, I'm not even sure they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, if you're Golden State, I mean, it's Kevin Durant. Like, who says no? But it just adds even more ammo to the argument I made of I don't think Kevin Durant can win without Steph. Anyway, that's about all. That's about all I can say about the Suns. As far as the T-Wolves, they might be the scariest team in the NBA, dude. I know we've sang the praises about your Thunder. They're really freaking good. Like Anthony Edwards, I had to clean my glasses and make sure I wasn't watching Michael Jordan. They even look the same. And then you get, Anthony Edwards actually has freaking Rudy Gobert playing good defense, like playing actual good basketball. He's not afraid to go out there and defend on the perimeter, and he actually stays in front of his guy more, and he's not getting put in a blender every other possession. He's got Karl Anthony Towns. Like, I mean, Cat was already a dog, but he's got him playing like a double dog. You know what I mean? Like, he's got him out there.
A double dog.
So, I think if you're OKC, low key, I think you want Denver and not Minnesota for your next matchup.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a second.
We will get to them in a second, but let's move on. So the Lakers avoided the sweep as LeBron led them to a 119-108 Game 4 victory. At the end of that game, Darvin Ham said that he saw something in that team that they could build on moving forward. And both LeBron and AD were talking about how it's not over, they have a chance, they can do it. So what did they do? They let Jamal Murray hit a game winner over them in Game 5 to end the series 4-1.
Another one.
Yeah, there's a clip of Taurean Prince pushing Rui Hachimura into defense to guard Jamal because he knows exactly where he's going to put that ball in. He pushes him there, and he just doesn't defend him. Jamal Murray just blows right by him and just floater. Lurbird. Those TikToks make me laugh. But, again, this is something, you and I called. We were like, the Lakers take a game, maybe 2. I think I was a little higher on the Lakers, honestly, than you were. I think we both picked Denver, but, like, if the Lakers were going to beat Denver, they needed to do it in the first round. And, they had a minus 11-point differential in all 5 games. Like...
And they led for 70% of it.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. They led the entire, 48 times 5, whatever that is. They led 70% of the series.
And they lost 4 games to 1. Because the Lakers don't have a closer. LeBron and AD have to play so hard the first, 45 minutes of the game that they don't have the gas to win the games. Like, I heard Colin Cowherd say this earlier today, and it's so true. They need that, 22, 23-year-old superstar that can leave everything on the floor and still have something left in the tank at the end of the game. Because right now, when they do that, like they did in Game 4, you already know it hurt to get out of bed that next day. You already know. Denver, they're good, man. When you got Michael Porter Jr. as your 3rd best player, and he's averaging 26, 8, and 4,
On 48% shooting from 3 in this
Yeah,
series.
he was 52, 48, and 95 were his splits or something like that. You're not winning. You are not
I'm sorry,
winning.
it's Raps, man. That's
Like,
their third best
that's
player.
their third
That's
best
their third
player.
option, man.
The only team I can think of that's any better is Boston, and that's because Derek White is their fifth best player, and he's averaging like 18, 10, and 5 or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's stupid. Denver, obviously, they were just the better team. They've got the deeper team. The Lakers don't have that reliable third option. They don't. On any given night, it can be Austin Reeves or D'Lo, but then at the same time, you'll have games where those guys just don't show up. And, D'Lo was talking a lot of smack after the game about how he didn't get enough time, stuff like that. And it's just like, dude, you didn't earn the time during the year. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on this? Because it was tough.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on this. Like, I think I was a little higher on Denver than you were. I think you said that, the Lakers could probably take 2. But yeah, I think this was the perfect situation for Los Angeles. They were in every single game. They led at halftime in every single game. And they just, like you said, they just didn't. Their stars, LeBron and AD specifically, just don't have enough in the tank because LeBron's almost 40 and AD's like 32, but he plays like he's 50. And he's down there getting just absolutely beat up by Aaron Gordon and Jokic. That he can only do so much. And when your backup center is Jackson Hayes, like,
Who?
like I don't know what you want from them. Like, that the guys are giving you all they have, and Denver's just the deeper team. They're just better, man. Like, they're just better. Like, when you stack them up right now, head to head, Jokic versus LeBron. Right now, I'm taking Jokic. He is the more dominant player. Like, LeBron's obviously one of the best players of all time, whatever. But right now, I'm taking Jokic. Then you stack up their twos, Murray and AD.
I'm taking
I think it's
AD.
close.
I'm taking
I would
AD,
probably
but
take AD.
only because of the defensive end.
Yeah,
Like,
I
Jamal
think
Murray's
he
a
provides
bucket.
more value on the defense.
Jamal Murray's a bucket, and I love him, but AD should have probably been Defensive Player of the Year this year. So,
Yeah. And then you stack up their threes. You got MPJ versus, I don't know, we'll call it D'Lo. It could be anybody. We'll call it D'Lo. And then you even stack up their fours. Aaron Gordon versus, I don't know, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura.
it'd be
Reeves.
Austin Reeves.
Yeah. And, Aaron Gordon probably isn't as good of a scorer as Austin Reeves is, but he doesn't need to be.
He's not as good of a shooter.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to be. And he provides so much on the defensive end that Austin Reeves just doesn't. Like, he's such a just long and physical defender that, he's just the perfect fit for what the Nuggets need. So, I like I said, I thought this was a perfect situation for Los Angeles to be, catch them in the first round, when they're healthy, when they're, as fresh as they can be. And this is the result.
It got him a game,
like,
man.
Denver's just a good team. Like, I think you just have to tip your cap to Denver and move on. You're right there. Honestly, if I'm a Lakers fan, I'm probably more. I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I'm upset.
Yeah, I think
like,
this
I'm probably
was
more
predictable.
frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you saw it coming. I'm almost more frustrated because you were in every game. You were right there. One thing goes your way, and we could be looking at or a couple things go your way. We could be looking at the Lakers up 3-2 right now. Like, genuinely.
Yeah, for real.
So, I'm probably more frustrated than I am upset if I'm a Lakers fan, but that's neither here nor there. Nuggets win it.
I think the Lakers need to go get Trae Young or Donovan Mitchell.
I think it'd be interesting.
They need someone else who can carry the offensive load. LeBron at this stage in his career, I mean, he is in year 21, averaging 26, 7, and 7, which is disgusting. He shouldn't have to. Like LeBron should be able to average, 18, 5, and 6 and have another guy or two on his team taking the load. But
And not have to play 70 plus games and not have to play 40 plus minutes per game
exactly. But
at
he
age
can't.
almost 40.
But he can't. Anyway, that's all I have about the Lakers Nuggets. Now let's get on to the one you're excited for. As hey, I need you to do me a favor. Yep, there it is. Go get it. You know you want to.
Let's go!
We'll have to censor that.
I didn't say anything bad.
Did you not? I thought you
I
did.
just said let's. No, I just said let's go.
Uh-huh.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure you. I'm pretty sure you did.
Yeah, we'll figure that out when you're editing it.
Let's bring out the effing brooms indeed. So OKC pulls away late to sweep the Pelicans. I'll let you do this topic actually. So take it away, my friend.
Cool. Yeah, their margin of victories in this series was in game 1 they won by 2. In game 2 they won by 32. Game 3 they won by 21. In game 4 they were actually down 1 heading into the fourth quarter and ended up winning by 12. They will now face the winner of the Clippers versus the Mavs, and that series is currently tied 2-2. SGA was the leading scorer for the Thunder, averaging a touch over 27 points per game, with Jalen Williams averaging 21.3 and Chet averaging 15.3. Chet also averaged 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and almost 3 blocks a game in this series. And he actually ended up forcing the Pelicans head coach to essentially bench Jonas Valanciunas in games 3 and 4 in the second half. Yeah, what were your thoughts on this? What were your thoughts on just the Thunder as a whole in game 1?
Did you say 32?
Oh yeah, they beat him by 32.
Yeah. That's insane. I thought the Thunder answered a lot of questions this series.
They showed some serious maturity.
Right. And I know that was one of the big, I mean, they even got praise from Colin Cowherd, who's been writing them off as a first or second round exit this entire time. They showed a lot of maturity. I liked that even in their wins, they won like they'd been there before. I thought that was big because what you'll see, I mean, do you remember whenever the T-Wolves won their playoff game a few years ago and Pat Bev...
It wasn't a playoff game.
No,
it was
play-in. Yeah, their play-in game a few years ago, and Pat Bev took his jersey off and jumped on the table and threw it in the crowd and was yelling and crying.
Gordon D. Wade, yeah.
They won like they hadn't been there before, and the Timberwolves literally shipped him off because they were like, we don't want that attitude around here. Like, OKC, they won gracefully, and like you said, it just showed a lot of maturity. It gives me a lot of faith in them moving forward that they're going to be able to play how they need to go far in the playoffs. I still would pick them to come out of the West because I think that they have what it takes, but they are going to have some tough matchups ahead. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the Timberwolves match up really well against them, actually, because they have their 2 big men. And look, Chet's great, but he kind of small, like just thin.
He's a small 7'2".
Yeah, well, he's thin, and when you got 2 big men beating up on you all game, it's just gonna be hard.
Yeah, Gobert and Cat got some girth to them.
And then you've got the Denver Nuggets, obviously, they're champions. They've got Jokic. And I don't know how y'all are going to stop Jokic and his razzmatazz hop skiddly doo on the money making into the court. So it's going to be tough. I think that the Thunder have what it takes to win it all. But I'm not going to sit here and act like y'all are going to walk to the finals like Boston's about to do. Yeah. Did you have anything else for this or?
Yeah, so their future opponents that they could face in the West, that are essentially the teams that are left. In the next series, they'll either play the Clippers or the Mavs. They were 2-1 versus the Clippers this year, and they were 3-1 versus the Mavs. And then on the other side of the bracket, they would, if they got to the conference finals, they would either play Minnesota or Denver. They were 2-2 versus Minnesota, and they were 3-1 versus Denver this year. So, I mean, against the 4 remaining teams, they went a combined 10-4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty solid, you know. And then even if they were to get to the finals, they would play Boston more than likely. You know, just don't see another team beating them right now.
No.
But they went 1-1 against them. You know, splitting home and away. OKC won in OKC, vice versa for Boston. So, I think they have what it takes. Like I said, and you know, or like you said, and I've mentioned this, that I almost would rather see Denver in the conference finals. The Clippers and the Mavs just, they don't really scare me. You know, like I don't know. There's just something about it. They don't scare me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Though both of those teams just feel like they're like a piece away.
Well, it's like the Clippers, like Kawhi's hurt and Paul George is Paul George, and like Harden is, you know, Harden. And then for the Mavs, it's like, you know, Luka's great, but did you see what Lou Dort did to Brandon Ingram? Bro held him to 26% shooting from the field. Let me say that again. Brandon Ingram, great scorer, averaged over 20 points a game this year. Shot 26%. And Lou Dort was the primary defender on him for a large majority of this series.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Like I said, Luka is a much better scorer than BI. But if he's holding guys to 6 to 10 points less than their season average, I'm okay with that. SGA, great defender, averaged over 2 steals a game in this series. Gonna lock up Kyrie. I don't know. I think there's flaws on both of those teams, and what the Thunder did in this series, I didn't see a flaw. Like they would get down, they'd let the Pelicans go on an 8-0 run, then they'd respond with a 16-0 run of their own, and you know Jalen Williams got smacked in the eye in like the first 30 seconds of Game 3. Cason Wallace stepped in, and immediately there was no drop off. Like they were playing 11, 12, 13 guys in this series.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a drop off. Like that's what's incredible. You know, a lot of the times you see in the NBA when you get to the playoffs, you know, your bench goes from, yeah, we could play 10 guys to, yeah, okay, we're playing like 7, maybe the 8th guy plays like 5 minutes. They played 13 guys. And there wasn't a drop off. That's incredible. OKC, I'll see you in the NBA Finals.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, I just think that OKC is one of the. They're young, but they're one of the most talented teams remaining in the playoffs, and I think that talent and the maturity that they've shown will take them far. So it'd definitely be great to see them in the finals. On to our next topic. The Knicks are up 3-1 and are currently down 74-72 with 9:46 left in the fourth quarter to the Philadelphia 76ers. Jalen Brunson actually just exited the game because Joel Embiid fell on his ankle and rolled it really bad. So, dude, Embiid is a dirty player. And I'm tired of pretending he's not. I mean, he's literally hurt Jalen Brunson twice now in this series. There are many, many, many clips of him intentionally injuring people, you know, because he is flopping or he's like just trying to sell a call. And I'm tired of him. I think even if they win this game tonight, the series is going to be 3-2, but I think the Knicks easily finish him off. And it makes me really sad because, you know, I really like Tyrese Maxey, but I hate that he's with Embiid. And at some point, I think Embiid has to answer the question of if he's actually a good player because, we tried trusting the process. We tried, the post that with like Ben Simmons and then James Harden and everything, and it's not working. And the common denominator here is Embiid. And he's blamed everyone else. He's blamed Harden. He's blamed Ben Simmons. He blamed Jimmy Butler, all this stuff. And the common denominator is him. So at some point, he's soft. And he's a crybaby. And, at this point, I'm not going to spoil your hot take that I agree with you 100% on because I want you to be able to reveal that later. But let's just say that I kind of hope he doesn't ever win a ring. I'm probably gonna get some hate for that, but I don't care. As far as the Knicks, I think they're overachieving this year a little bit. I think that they are clearly better than we thought they were, because like we said, we picked the 76ers in this series when the playoffs started. We were like, oh, the 76ers are a dark horse team getting Embiid back. The Knicks have given them all they wanted.
And more.
They're up 3-1. Also, Jalen Brunson just came back in, so that's a great sign. But it's great to see the Knicks good. I think it's great for basketball when the New York Knicks are a good team. And I think they play a very fun brand of basketball, and I think Jalen Brunson is very quickly entering the conversation of, hey, guys, I'm a superstar too. Don't forget about me. So what are your thoughts on this series so far? I know I didn't talk about any one specific game. I just had a lot of, honestly, Joel Embiid hate to get out.
Oh, dude, I could not back you up more on that Joel Embiid hate. I have hated him ever since he had beef with Russell Westbrook in it was 2017. Ever since then, I just have not liked Embiid. I like you said, I think he's soft. The common denominator on all of their failures over the last, 5 years or whatever, has been him. Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, James Harden, just all of those, and those are, dude, at least when they were on the Sixers, they were all top talent guys.
I just had a core memory unlocked. Do you remember when he flopped and tore Danny Green's ACL?
I don't remember that.
He flopped whenever he had Danny Green on his team, and it tore his ACL or something, and ruined his career. He wasn't super great to begin with, but yeah, it was. I think it was the year after, or it was a couple of years before Danny Green played for the Raptors. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. I just had a core memory, ADHD. You know how it is.
But yeah, as for the Knicks, wow, they look good, especially without Julius Randle too. And Mitchell Robinson, they're without two of their big guys, and Isaiah Hartenstein and OG Anunoby are stepping up, dude. Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. Are you kidding me? You're getting career. I don't know, it's not even career season, just career games out of these guys, every other game. On top of Jalen Brunson giving you 40 a game, damn near. I don't know. I think they are overachieving a little bit. But honestly, in an East that is kind of wide open right now, if they don't make the conference finals, it should be a huge disappointment. And honestly, I think they have what it takes to maybe take Boston 6, maybe 7.
Mm-hmm.
At least they're going to put up a fight.
Yeah, for sure. I was reading the Gamecast just now, and it looks like the Knicks and 76ers just played some of the worst 20 seconds of basketball ever. Because it was just turnover. But the Knicks are up 80-77 now, so get out your gentleman's sweep broom. Any final thoughts on this series, or I think we've gotten it all out. I think the Knicks should view this season, if they make the conference finals, I think that's a success. Given everything that they've been the last several years, which is to put it nicely, not very good. I think they make the conference finals. That's a successful year. The 76ers, if you don't make the finals this year, I'm going to stand on this too. If you don't make the finals this year, if you're the 76ers, I think you have to blow up the team. Like, I genuinely believe that. I think it's time to move on from Embiid. And I know that sounds ludicrous to say, but you have what, 8 years now?
I guess 6 if you take out the first 2 years that he was injured.
Okay, so 6 years of him being terrible.
Him actually playing.
Like, Big Dog, he has been failing in the playoffs for so long that I have memories of me watching him when we still lived in my childhood home. Like, I watched him whenever, like...
That would have been 2018. You would have been in college. 6 years ago?
Yeah, I was in college, but we moved out of my childhood home right before my... I guess it was, yeah, right before my last year at Georgetown.
Yeah, dude, like just 6, 7, 8 years, whatever you want to call it, of 0 conference championship.
They haven't made it past the second round. like
0
so
conference
bad.
champion. Embiid has not made the conference championship in his career.
All right, we need to move on.
Player.
We need to move on
Any
before
other
your.
player.
We need to move on before
Any
your
other
hot
player
take
in the
accidentally
NBA
comes out.
that didn't make the conference finals would be viewed as a joke.
A bum.
Yeah, but because it's Embiid, because he's such a good scorer, he won an MVP, Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers and James Harden underperforms, and no, we don't give that same courtesy to LeBron, to Steph Curry, to Kevin Durant.
LeBron.
We don't give that same courtesy.
No, hell
if
no,
Jason
we don't.
Tatum doesn't make the conference finals this year, he should be laughed at. And he will be absolutely humiliated and roasted on national television.
Well,
but because it's Embiid and he has a knee injury. His second best scorer is Tyrese Maxey, and outside of that, it's kind of meh. Like, I'm sorry, what?
I need you to know that I just about said, like, with my whole chest out, that he would get railed if he didn't make it, and then I had to reconsider that. But anyway, before we either say something that gets us canceled or your hot take accidentally comes out here, let's move on. As the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers are giving us the battle of mid, let me tell you. I mean, they're both great. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to see them both doing well, and you called it as far as the Orlando Magic being a competitive playoff team. But
I think before the season started.
You did. But I'll be completely honest with you. I think that this is one of those, whichever team wins the series is probably getting bounced next round.
Oh, dude, it won't be close. Whoever,
won't they play Boston?
Boston or gentleman sweep, yeah.
Yeah, gentleman sweep.
Boston will be in 5. And I think that's being generous.
I was about to say, dog,
Boston
you might be grabbing your broom.
Yeah. We're gonna make that a reoccurring thing every time we talk about a series that ends up in a sweep.
I hope there's not too many of those. That'd be kind of boring, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's like that year that the Cavs and the Golden State Warriors went like 16-0 and 16, or they went 16-0 and then 12-0 and 12-1 to get to the finals. There we go.
Yeah.
No, like the Magic and the Cavs, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this series. It's really competitive and it's really cool to see both of those teams doing well. Yeah, that's really all I've got.
Fun fact, though, the away team in all 4 games of this series has not scored over 90 points. Which is kind of wild. And currently, as it stands with 10 minutes left in the third, the Magic have 49. So kind of on pace for that.
49?
Oh, yeah.
Well, meanwhile,
the defense in this series has been insane.
The 76ers have gone almost 4 minutes without scoring.
That checks out.
Right. All right, well, let's move on to, Justin, wasn't there something NFL related that just happened? Something I
don't know. Was there a free agent signing?
I don't. The draft.
Training camp.
Duh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. After that terrible joke that I'm sure will that I'm sure will land very well with our listeners. Our first story, Atlanta uses their 8th overall draft pick for the shock of the weekend as they take Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington. Fun fact, before I get into this, did you see that graphic that the Falcons posted where it said penis on it?
I sure did. I sure did. That was wow. Wow.
Come on.
Someone's getting fired.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, so this happened just 6 weeks after they signed Kirk Cousins to a deal that guaranteed him $100 million over the next 2 years. Oh, what are they doing, Justin?
Hey, that's the same reaction Kirk Cousins had.
Right. It's just
I've seen that face before.
I just
What?
I texted you that and you were like, "What?" Oh gosh.
I was shook.
Margeldorfed. Yeah, like you said, Kirk Cousins came out and said that he was stunned by the selections from the Falcons, as was literally every other person watching the draft. Well, what do you got, Justin? This was mind-boggling.
Well, some stats on him is that, he's 23, going to be 24 by the time the season starts. Currently going to be the backup for Cousins. In his last season, he threw for 4,903 yards and 36 touchdowns, leading the Huskies to a 14-1 record and a trip to the national title. I can't decide if this was a good move for Atlanta because you're prepping for the future, or, given the fact that Cousins is 36 and coming off an Achilles tear, or if this is more confusing because Atlanta signed Kirk Cousins to kind of be in like win now mode. And, you still had a plethora of draft picks that you could have chosen. Dallas Turner, Roma Dunze, just a whole bunch of guys that you could have added there to help give you more depth, more versatility. I just can't decide what kind of move this was. This is a weird one. Got any ideas?
Yeah, hang on. Draft picks. Okay. So, I think that this was one of the moves in NFL history.
I guess you're not wrong.
So I definitely think that it's hard to tell, honestly. I think I think overall it's a good move because it's kind of an insurance policy, like you said. It is them saying, hey, and even their GM and coaches and everybody said this too. It's like, hey, we trust Kirk. We know he's a quarterback that can get it done for us. We believe in him. And the plan is to have Michael Penix sit behind him, learn from one of the all-time good quarterbacks, and when the time comes, he'll be ready to go. I thought that the rest of their draft went pretty well as far as who they took and who they got. They got some, I think they got a couple offensive line pieces and some other stuff too. So overall, I think it maybe would have made more sense for them to pick another weapon because at the end of the day, you can take a quarterback later on in the draft to be that backup role for now. But I think that there is something to be said. I mean, we saw 66 quarterbacks play this past year. So there's something to be said for having a good backup. I mean, look at the Bengals. They had Jake Browning, who, was, a relative unknown, but was a good quarterback and played well. Or, the Titans used a draft pick. They moved up in the second round to get Will Levis whenever he was still there. And, Will Levis was, he was a weird case because he ended up falling, but, he was one that was considered to be a top pick and, he fell. And so the Titans ended up grabbing him in the second round, but he ended up playing because Ryan Tannehill got hurt. So I think it makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, like I'm sure you've known your season's been over for a while now. Like I feel like you've known at least that you would consider that, and so I feel like you should have let Kirk Cousins know, just because I mean you paid him all this money. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all of that to say yes and no. It was a good move, but it also wasn't. I don't know, man. It's hard to explain,
Honestly,
but I hope I did a good job. Anyway,
to me, this felt like more of like a hedge on
for sure.
like, we want to invest in now because we haven't been great for so long. But and that's how we signed Kirk. That's why we signed Kirk Cousins. But we also don't want to be like bad in the future. So it's like, I don't know. It's weird to explain. Like they're not. It just almost seems like they're not trying to win now, but they're also not trying to necessarily win later either. Like they're just trying to not be bad
They want
for the next like
they
15
just want to be
years.
relevant.
Yeah, like they're just like it kind of feels to me like they're looking at this like, oh, if we can average 10 wins a season over the next 15 years, that's cool. We don't care about Super Bowls. We don't care about division titles. We don't care about making it to conference championships. We just, if we're decent, that's fine. That's kind of what this felt like, which is just weird. Because, like, why did you sign Cousins to a $160 million deal for that?
Yeah, I feel like if you knew you wanted Michael Penix, you should have just signed like Gardner Minshew or somebody, and then had your bridge guy, or hell, Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
So on to the only pick that was way more shocking than Michael Penix. The Chicago Bears drafted Caleb Williams #1 overall. That wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was that they used the #9 overall pick to draft star wide receiver Rome Odunze from Washington. In case it wasn't clear, I was joking about it being shocking. But the Bears' new look offense now features Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and Rome Odunze. We've seen some rookie quarterbacks have major team successes, like C.J. Stroud last year, Brock Purdy a couple years ago. Justin, what should the expectations for this Bears team be? I mean, should this season be a disappointment if they don't win a playoff game, or what should we expect from them?
I think absolutely this season has to be a complete and utter disappointment if they don't win a playoff game. Plain and simple. C.J. Stroud did it, and he didn't have half the weapons that Caleb Williams has. Plain and simple. I mean, his best receiving threat was Tank Dell and why is the other guy?
Nico Collins?
Nico Collins. That was a guy who was on my fantasy team, and I couldn't think of his name.
Jeez.
Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Nico Collins and Tank Dell. And Dalton Schultz. Or DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and Rome Odunze. Offensive lines are pretty similar. If you look at, I think Houston had the better overall defense, but if you look at the last 9 weeks of the season, they were pretty much similar.
Yeah.
So, similar defenses, similar offensive lines, and yet probably double the skill when it comes to your skill positions.
Yeah.
If you don't win a playoff game, that's a failure.
Not to mention, Caleb Williams has been talked about like he is Jesus Christ the second.
You joke,
to
but
football.
he might be.
No, I mean literally, they said he's better. He is as good as Patrick Mahomes right now. Is some of the takes that I've heard about him, which is blasphemy. First of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, I just co-sign everything that you just said. He has literally so much talent on his offense. The only thing that I would be worried about is his defense, stopping other teams. But, I mean, hell, we've seen him in shootouts, so I think absolutely if they don't make the playoffs and win a playoff game, he's a bust. No, I'm kidding, but it's definitely a disappointing season.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next. The Vikings traded up one spot to draft J.J. J.J. McCarthy from Michigan
There you
at
go,
number
champ.
10 overall. Sorry, I had to fight back a gag talking about Michigan. Anyway, their offense now features J.J. McCarthy, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones. Justin, what are your thoughts on your rival school's quarterback getting drafted 10th overall?
Look, I've said what I needed to say on JJ McCarthy, that I don't think that he is an NFL caliber quarterback. I mean, he had one 300-yard passing game this entire season. That's it. And JJ McCarthy is he's clearly stepping into a position where he has all of the tools to be successful if he ends up beating out Sam Darnold for the day one starter. Especially, he has all of these weapons. Justin Jefferson's widely regarded as one of the best wide receivers in the game, if not the best. Jordan Addison was easily the best rookie wide receiver last year. T.J. Hawkinson, top 5 tight end at the absolute worst, probably more like top 3. And Aaron Jones, he's probably lost a step, but I mean, he still was a dog when he came back last year. That's a good offense. Not to mention, they have a really high IQ head coach in Kevin O'Connell. He's got everything he needs to be successful. He does.
He does.
And I don't know. I think that this is going to be a lot of I don't want to use the word carried, but I just don't think he's not the quarterback that's going to elevate that team. They're probably going to win not because of him, because they have such great weapons. That's the reason they're going to win games. But it's not like he's going to be going out there and making some amazing flashy play. He's going to do the little things right, and that'll be enough because he has Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, etc. That's my thoughts on that.
For sure. I think, like you said, the team will be good in spite of him. I think he is going to be successful because of Kevin O'Connell. But I don't know that I'm willing to say he's going to be, I don't think he's going to have a Brock Purdy type of year. Now, maybe he proves me wrong, but I agree with you. He was definitely in a spot at Michigan where he didn't have to be Josh Allen. He didn't have to be a Superman. So I don't really have a lot to say without sounding redundant, but I completely agree with you. So I gave us a topic here that was meant to be a little fun for both of us. So why don't we move into it now? So I'm going to give the Titans draft recap and my thoughts on it. And then you can give us your Bengals draft recap and your thoughts on those. So first, the Titans, because we were letting some other teams feel good about themselves, we had the 7th overall pick. And so
That's what he calls it.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. And so we picked J.C. Latham, an offensive tackle out of Alabama. Then with the 2nd round pick 38, we picked T'Vondre Sweat, defensive line in Texas. That's one I want to stop on because I know there were a lot of questions and concerns with him as far as character. I think he had a DUI a month or 2 ago. Look, the NFL is full of guys that, or at least historically, has been full of guys that may not have the best character sometimes. And as long as it's not somebody being a horrible person, I'm willing to forgive as long as change is made and they can prove that they have, a desire to improve their character and move on. So I like the pick. I also like the Latham pick because we definitely need offensive line help. And Latham played at Alabama. I mean, Alabama's had a great O-line. It's part of the reason why Jalen Milroe did so well this year. Sorry for getting distracted there for a second, but Jalen Brunson just got absolutely murdered on the court trying to hit a game winner, and they didn't call the foul, so now they're going to overtime, tied 97-97.
Wow.
So we didn't have a third round pick. In the fourth round, we took Cedric Gray, linebacker out of North Carolina. Felt all right about that pick. Didn't really know much about him, but checked his stats. He seems to be a pretty good linebacker, and I mean, obviously we needed some pass defense help and some run defense help, and I think he can play a little bit of both. So in the fifth round, pick 146, we had Jarvis Brownlee Jr., corner out of Louisville. I looked him up. He is a dog. I think he's going to be solid on the pass defense. Should hopefully help bolster our secondary. And I mean, he can't be as bad as Christian Fulton, and I can't remember the other guy's name that we had, but they were rough. Round 6, pick 182, we drafted Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver out of Tulane. I looked him up. He's pretty solid. I think he'll be a good kind of, bench option for us at wide receiver. And then we had 2 7th-round picks. We had pick 242 and pick 252. And we drafted James Williams, a safety out of Miami, and then Jalen Harrell, edge rusher out of Michigan. Both of those, I think, were good picks. Like I said, we need defensive help. A lot of these guys that we drafted maybe aren't day one starters, especially like further down in the draft. But I think that with the right build and the right coaching, I think that they can become some good pieces in our team. Overall, I felt really good about our draft. I'm probably a little biased because I'm a fan of the team, but I thought that the Titans did a very good job of addressing their needs, both in the offseason free agency and in the draft. And honestly, it gives me a lot of hope. Like, I don't think that I'm preparing myself for this to be a rebuild year. I'm not expecting the same kind of expectations that I've had. I'm not expecting the same kind of expectations. I don't have the same expectations this coming year.
Chip, I knew you'd figure it out.
I didn't. I don't have the same level of expectations moving forward for this team that I did, obviously, like the past few years with Derrick Henry and Tannehill and everybody. But I think that they've done a really good job of giving Will Levis weapons, and I think we're going to shock some people with how good this team can be if everyone stays healthy. On to your team. There were a couple picks that were weird to me, but I'll let you go into it. So, without further ado, my friend.
Cool. So we drafted middle of the pack pretty much the whole way down. So in round 1 with pick 18, we drafted Amarius Mims, an offensive tackle out of Georgia. He's pretty unproven in college. He only started 8 games due to an injury. And his first 2 years, he kind of sat behind guys at Georgia that were obviously now in the NFL. So it makes sense that he was behind them. But, I mean, he's 6'8" and like 340 pounds. Dude's an absolute wall. So I think like the raw ability is there for him, but the Bengals don't exactly have a good track record of developing offensive linemen. If you look at like the 3 guys that we signed in the offseason a couple years ago with Cordell Olson and Ted Karras, or not Cordell Olson. Well, he was a guy that we drafted. But Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and old boy out of Dallas. The one that said that he's the new bodyguard. I can't think of his name. Yeah, that's how bad he was.
Wasn't Orlando Brown, was it?
No, that's the guy we just signed.
Right.
It was a guy from Dallas. I can't remember his name.
Tyron Smith, something like that.
Maybe, I don't know. Either way,
we'll figure it out.
all of those guys haven't exactly like been amazing. Like they've been okay, but they haven't exactly gotten better since they've been with the Bengals. So that makes me nervous. In the second round with the 49th overall pick, we drafted Chris Jenkins, a defensive tackle out of Michigan. The Bengals ranked 26th in rushing yards allowed, and they also lost DJ Reader. So I think that he kind of fills that need for us. And I honestly think it'll be between him and newly signed free agent Sheldon Rankins.
Who?
For the starting job. Sheldon Rankins was a guy for the Texans. He wasn't amazing last year, but he played like the greatest thing you've ever seen against the Bengals.
Of course. Well, to be fair, so did everybody else.
Yeah,
I mean, y'all made us look like the Ravens.
Yeah. We made the Ravens look like the Chiefs.
I thought you were about to say you made the Ravens look like the Ravens.
In the third round, we with the 80th overall pick, we picked Jermaine Burton, a wide receiver out of Alabama. Dude has insane speed. He led the SEC in yards per catch. I think he's a solid option to replace Tyler Boyd as our wide receiver 3. He did have some, I guess, quote unquote, off field issues where during the game that they lost to Tennessee in Tennessee, a young girl, not a young girl, but a college age girl ran up, not exactly to him, but just near him, and he kind of just punched her in the face. So there's that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's that.
Oh boy.
So I mean, that kind of makes you nervous, but I mean, the same questions you had about Joe Mixon when he was coming out of Oklahoma, where he was in a bar with a girl and punched her in the face. Bengals took care of it. Obviously saw something, and honestly, Joe Mixon was pretty unproblematic throughout his time here in Cincy.
Yeah, he definitely cleaned up his act.
Yeah, so you have to assume that with like the new regime, Marvin Lewis out of the building, obviously, that we have a good locker room system, and that those off-field issues won't continue. So overall, I like the pick. I think it's a solid option.
I forgot all about that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Also in the third round with the 97th overall pick, we picked McKinley Jackson, a defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Don't know much about him, other than he provides depth for us at that position, so good for us.
This next pick, we talked about this one, and it was something. Give it to us.
In the fourth round with the 115th overall selection, the Bengals selected Eric All, a tight end out of Iowa. And that might sound good. Iowa's produced good tight ends, right? He had life-altering spinal surgery in 2022 and then tore his ACL in 2023.
Let me just really quick. It's not funny that stuff happened to him. That's not what I'm laughing at. I'm laughing at this is the most, like, if there's one draft pick that could encapsulate Justin's experience with the Cincinnati Bengals in his lifetime, it's this one. That's what I'm laughing at.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No,
I'm going to say that again. Life-altering spinal surgery. And then a year later, shredded his ACL.
I wish him all the best with his NFL career. I honestly do hope he's great. I do.
Me too. I hope he's fantastic. He plays for my team.
It's just, wow.
Like, I don't know.
Anyway, sorry about that.
In the fifth round, with the 149th overall pick, we picked Josh Newton, a corner out of TCU. Don't know much about him, again, but in a secondary that wasn't very good and led the league in explosive plays allowed, I'm not going to complain about getting a DB.
For sure.
In the sixth round, with the 194th overall selection, we picked Tanner McLaughlin, a tight end out of Arizona.
Actually, no.
Meaning we now have six tight ends on our roster.
Damn.
I know for sure we have 5, but I'm 99% sure we have a 6th. With Mike Gesicki, Drew Sample, Tanner Hudson, and then obviously the 2 guys that we just drafted. I'm 99% sure there's a 6th one. I can't think of his name, though. Either way, we had at least 5 tight ends. For what reason? I don't know. Joe Burrow doesn't really throw to tight ends all that much. But I will say he's pretty solid. Solid enough to break Rob Gronkowski's tight end receiving record at Arizona. So I think that's promising. But yeah. And then in the 6th round, with the 214th overall pick, we selected Cedric Johnson, a defensive end out of Ole Miss.
Who?
In the 7th round, we picked, I'm going to make sure I say his name right, Dijon Anthony, a defensive back out of Ole Miss. And then finally, in the 7th round, with the 237th overall selection, we picked Matt Lee, a center out of Miami. And
Who?
once again,
Those
I also
last
wanted to
three
follow up
names.
with, damn, we had a lot of picks.
Those last three names are that I simmed forward 10 years in Madden, and these are the AI generated players.
Like Matt Lee, are you kidding me? That's not a real name.
No disrespect to these
That's the
players.
mo-
Genuinely, I'm really glad that these people honestly have like made their NFL dreams come true and they got drafted. Like that is a dream come true for these guys, and that is exciting. We're just poking a little fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all did have a lot of picks. Wow, good lord.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of trades.
The
Like we would
podcast,
like trade up and trade back. And
we're at an hour and 7 minutes right now, basically, and your draft picks there were like 40 minutes of that.
I don't think it was that, but sure. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. So let's move on to our hot takes. We'll get it wrapped up here. And I guess I'll start us off. For my first hot, good lord, Joel Embiid just swatted that to Narnia. My first hot take: Kevin Durant will end up outside of the top 15 to 20 players ever. So we talked about this earlier. But if Nikola Jokic wins another title, I mean, that means he'll have what, 4 MVPs? 3 MVPs?
He'll have 3 MVPs.
And 2
Assuming they
titles.
win the title, he'll have 2 Finals MVPs as well. So he'll have 2
And
titles, 2
back-to-back
Finals
titles
MVPs.
and Finals MVPs.
Yeah. I think if Jokic wins the title this year, Finals MVP and the MVP, I think Jokic is top 15 all time.
I think so too. Bro,
I think he jumps about 10 spots on our rankings.
dog, Joel Embiid just smacked Jalen Brunson in the face and like poked him in the eyes. What? He's a dirty player. I'm telling you, this makes me so mad. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, that's my first hot take. I think that Jokic passes Kevin Durant, and I think honestly you have to look at Kevin Durant's career as life before Golden State, a 3-year window where he looked like the greatest player on earth, and then life after Golden State. And you take those two sections and you see what he is as an actual basketball player, and that's a prolific scorer who cannot lead a team. I'm not saying I called it. I'm just saying I got flamed for that take on TikTok, but am I wrong?
Here we are. My first hot take is that Giannis Antetokounmpo will not be a part of the Milwaukee Bucks next season. I think this season has been an absolute failure. I know obviously he can't control getting hurt on like in the final game of the year. But they got rid of whoever their head coach was.
Adrian Griffin.
That's it, Adrian Griffin, and
Who?
hired Doc Rivers, who they are now 18-23 with. They hired Doc Rivers, and they do not have a winning record with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. Giannis is gone. I'm sorry. Ever since that title, it's kind of been downhill, and I just don't think if he wants to win another title that he's going to stay in Milwaukee to do it. I just don't think that's the spot for him to win another title. So
I agree. All right. My second hot take is that this Minnesota Timberwolves core of Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and Karl Anthony Towns will win at least one championship together. I just think that they have size, which is a big thing. They play fast, and Anthony Edwards is I'm not saying that he is going to be the next LeBron James, but I think if anyone in the NBA currently has a chance to do that, it's Anthony Edwards. I mean, he seems to be kind of similar to LeBron and just his sheer athleticism and his leadership especially. Like, he has turned Rudy Gobert into like a legit, like, solid big man and 2 second/3 option depending on the night. You know, he has Karl Anthony Towns doing better. Like he looks good, and I believe it. I think they'll win a championship together.
Boo.
I mean, you at least agree with the premise, right?
As a Thunder fan, yeah. As a Thunder fan, I just don't like it. So
yeah, fair enough.
my second hot take and our final point of the episode is that Joel Embiid, his MVP that he won last season, was the biggest sham of an MVP ever.
Preach.
And I mean ever.
Amen, brother.
Ever. You want to know why Joel Embiid won the MVP last year? Because the voters got tired of voting for Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic had far and away a better season than Embiid, but because he had already won it 2 times in a row, they didn't want to give it to him a third time. Embiid has proven he can't get it done. And I know it's a regular season award, and I understand that. What has Embiid done?
0.
Exactly. He's done nothing. He has not made it to a conference championship. I'm not even talking an NBA finals. A conference finals in his entire career. Bro, Joel Embiid is the softest. He might be the worst superstar ever.
Amen.
That's my hot take. Let's get out of here.
I like it. All right. What a good episode, man. A lot of passionate takes today. I like it.
Yeah. I feel like we had a lot of memes today too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't put memes in this episode. I would never do that. You can't see it, but
Who's gonna tell him?
You can't see it, but my next chapter picture is back up. I put it back up. All right. As always, thanks everyone so much for listening. We appreciate all the love. We appreciate all the hate. You know, engagement is engagement, as they say. You know, make sure that you all like and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram so that you don't miss an upload and you get to follow all of our content that we post as well. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the show on YouTube and on, I think I already said YouTube, didn't I? Wherever you get your podcasts, you know, be that Google, Apple, wherever. And on behalf of Justin, I'm Ben, and we will see you all next time.